Today, let's learn the first thing you must do to a dataset before any model exists: the cut that keeps your model honest. Last lesson, we laid 200 rented flats out as a table of facts. X, beside the rents they fetched. Y, now picture a teacher who hands the class a booklet of 100 practice questions, then sets the final exam using those exact same 100 questions. Every student scores full marks, and the marks are meaningless because a student may simply have memorized the answers. To find out who actually learned, the exam must use questions the students have never seen. Machine learning has exactly the same problem. Score a model on the rows it studied, and it looks brilliant while proving nothing. The fix is one cut. By the end, you will cut any dataset into 3 piles with 3 different jobs. Know the one rule that keeps a score honest, and pin the cut so it reproduces run after run. Here is the big idea and the root. An honest score must come from rows the model never studied, so everything in this lesson flows from one cut, made up front before any model exists. We go in 3 stops. First, the cut itself, 3 piles out of one spreadsheet, each with a different job. Then the held-out rule, the one sentence that decides when a pile still counts as unseen. Then the 2 traps that quietly break the cut, rows ordered in time and repeat customers. At the very end, we pick up the cutting tool itself, and the test pile gets opened exactly once. Stop 1, the cut. Make it concrete with the running example, grown bigger. A spreadsheet of 1,000 flats that already rented, each row 1 flat, its facts beside the rent it actually fetched, X beside Y, exactly as we laid it out last lesson. You want a model that predicts rent for a new flat. Instead of showing the model all 1,000 rows, cut the spreadsheet once up front into 3 piles. 700 rows become the training set, the only pile the model studies. 150 become the validation set, a pile the model never studies, its job arrives on the next board. And the last 150 become the test set, locked in a drawer at the back of the room. That locked drawer opens exactly once at the very end. And no row is ever allowed to sit in 2 piles. Every row lands in exactly 1 pile. 3 piles, 3 jobs, each pile answers a different question. The training pile answers, what should the model's internal numbers be? Fitting a model just means adjusting those internal numbers, they are called its parameters, until the guesses on the training rows get good. Make that physical. For a straight line predicting rent from size, the slope of that line is a parameter. You never type the slope in, the fitting process writes it from the training rows alone. The validation pile answers a different kind of question, because some settings the fitting process cannot write. It cannot decide how deep a decision tree may grow, or how strongly to penalize complexity, any more than a cake can set its own oven temperature. Those knobs must be fixed by hand before training ever starts. Settings of that kind are called hyperparameters, hyper, because they sit above the fit, chosen before it runs. The validation pile is where your hand-chosen candidates will compete, and the very next board runs that contest with real numbers. And the test pile answers the only question the outside world cares about, exactly once. How well will this model do on data it has never seen? That ability has a name, generalisation. Until that final question is asked, the test pile stays locked. So let us watch one complete tuning walk, start to finish. The question on the table, how deep may the rent predicting tree grow? The candidates, depth 2, depth 5, and depth 10. Step 1, train all 3 candidates on the same 700 training rows. Nothing is decided yet, we simply end up with 3 fitted trees, 1 per depth. Step 2, each tree now predicts rents for the 150 validation rows it has never seen, and we write down how far off each one typically was. The depth 2 tree misses by about 4,100 rupees a month, too shallow to catch the real patterns. The depth 5 tree misses by only 2,900 rupees. and the depth entry misses by 3,600 rupees, deep enough to memorize training quirks that never repeat. Step 3, depth 5 wins, and the losers are simply dropped. That loop you just watched, try several settings, score each on validation, keep the winner is everything the word tuning means. Now notice what the test pile did through the whole contest. Nothing. It stayed locked. Only now does the drawer open exactly once to score the one winning depth 5 tree. That final number, not the validation scores, is the honest score you report. Stop 2, the rule that trips up almost everyone, so hear it twice. A pile only counts as held out while no decision depends on it. A pile only counts as held out while no decision depends on it. Now watch how easily it breaks. Suppose you try 40 different hyperparameter settings, score every one of them on the test pile, and keep the winner. It feels harmless, but by picking the winner with test scores, you have quietly tuned the model to those particular 150 rows, and the number you quote is now optimistic, flattering on these rows, unreliable on genuinely new flats. That comparing and picking job is precisely what the validation pile exists for. The test pile answers one question, exactly once, and never influences a choice. Use the held-out rule to diagnose a broken tuning workflow, then repair it without touching the model. Ask the rules one question. Did a decision depend on the test pile? Yes, choosing among 12 depths is a decision, and it was made with test scores. So the moment the depth that looked best was kept, the test pile stopped being held out. The quoted score is tuned to those exact rows and flatters. The repair moves the comparison, not the code. Score all 12 depths on the validation pile and pick the winner there. Only then open the drawer, score that one chosen depth on the untouched test pile exactly once. That number is the honest generalization. Compare the 12 depths on validation, keep one winner, and score it once on the untouched test pile, quote that final number. The trap, no library will warn you. Train test split cuts piles, but nothing in scikit-learn stops you scoring all 12 candidates on test. The rule lives in your head, not in the code. Stop 3, 2 traps that break the cut quietly. Trap 1 is about order. Before you cut, ask, should the rows be shuffled first? If your rows are interchangeable 1,000 flats in no meaningful order, then yes, shuffle, so each pile gets a fair random mix rather than, say, one entire neighborhood in the test pile. But when the order of rows carries meaning, daily sales with timestamps, seasons, one customer's transactions in sequence, a random shuffle cheats. Shuffle those sales rows, and the model trains on December while being tested on January. It has effectively peaked at the future. For time-ordered data, cut by time instead, so the test pile is exactly the future the model will face in real use. Trap 2 is sneaky because no single row is duplicated anywhere. Say the job is to predict each customer's next month, and customer 4127 has some rows in the training pile and some rows in the test pile. During training, the model meets that customer's personal habits when they shop what they spend. Then it is tested, supposedly on the same customer. Those test rows are not really unseen. The model is part remembering, not predicting. Whenever rows belong to a person, a store, or any repeating entity, keep whole customers on one side. Every entity keeps all of its rows on one side of the cut, and train and test never split a customer between them. Cut a year of time-ordered rows into 3 piles that respect time. First, ask what the model will never have in real use, tomorrow's numbers. Its whole life is predicting forward, so the cut must move forward in time too. Train on January through October, 304 days. Validate on November, 30 days. Test on December, the last 31 days, standing in for the future. See what the shuffle habit would have done. December rows scattered into training carry facts only knowable in December. that smuggles answers from days that are still in the future for the rows being tested. So tune on November scores and open December exactly once at the end. December is the future here, and it must stay as unseen as the future always is. Treat it exactly like the validation pile's locked cousin. Train January to October, validate on November, test on December. The cut moves forward in time, and December opens once. The trap, the library default shuffles. For time-ordered rows, the default is the cheat, slice by date, instead of calling the shuffling cutter. Now the cutting tool itself. In the labs, the cut is one ready-made function from the scikit-learn library, imported in Python as sklearn, and it is called train test split. Hand it X and Y, tell it test size the fraction of rows to hold out, here 0.25, a quarter, and it shuffles your rows and cuts them in one call. The other option is the one that surprises everyone. Random state, a number that fixes the shuffle, so the random cut comes out identical every time. Set it to any fixed number, 0 and 42 are both traditions, and two classmates or you tomorrow get exactly the same piles, so scores can be compared fairly. Leave it unset, and every run cuts a different test pile. On a small pile of 150 rows, a few rows landing differently can swing the score from 0.86 to 0.79, same code, same data. Only the cut changed. Turn the two-pile cutter into the lesson's three-pile arrangement and dodge the classic fraction slip. 2 piles per call, 3 piles wanted, so cut twice. Split the training pile off first, then split what remains. Cut one separates train from everything else. Everything else is validation plus test together, 150 plus 150, 300 rows, so pass 300 over 1000. Test size 0.30. That leaves 700 train and 300 rows set aside as the rest. Cut 2 receives only those 300 rows, so its fraction is measured against them, not against the original 1000. 150 over 300 is 0.50, and the rest splits into 150 validation, 150 test. Check nothing was lost or doubled. 700 plus 150 plus 150 is 1000. Every row landed in exactly one pile. Pass test, size 0.30 on the first call and 0.50 on the second, with random state pinned on both. The trap, passing 0.15 on the second call is the classic slip. 0.15 of 300 is 45 rows. You would get 255 validation and 45 test, not 150 each. Each call's fraction is measured against the rows that call receives. And pin random state on both calls, seed only the first, and cut 2 shuffles a different remainder every run. Hold 3 lines from this lesson. Cut once, up front, 3 piles. Train fits the parameters, validation tunes the hand-chosen settings, and the drawer at the end pays out one honest score. Guard it with the rule. A pile is held out only while no decision depends on it. And respect the 2 trap makers, time and repeat customers. Cut time-ordered rows forward and keep each customer wholly on one side of the cut. Comment below with the dataset you would cut and which pile feels blurry. That feedback shapes the next lesson. Subscribe so the next lesson lands in your feed. And open the ExamMaster app. This topic ends with a browser lab where you make this exact cut yourself, with train test split, and check the shapes with your own eyes.